Hi viewers, welcome once again to my channel, Israeli Math Concept. In this tutorial, I want to solve this word problem which involves fraction. The question is sourced from GCE and that is from the year 1987 and that is question number 7A precisely. Alright, I want to read out the question first of all. The question says, Ayo spent 1/4, that is 1/4 of his money at Kingway stores. He also spent another 1/3 at a market called Mokola Market and 1/5 of the remainder at Leventis Motors. Full stop. If he had 300 naira left, the question now says how much had he initially? So I will begin to interpret this question from the last statement. And the last statement said, how much had he initially? That means we are asked to find the initial money this guy Ayo had. So I will begin by saying, let the initial money, let the initial money be X. Then interpreting the question from the first instance, the question says, Ayo spent 1/4 of his money at Kingway stores. That means the first expenses that Ayo made was 1/4 of this given initial amount, which is X. And by your board maths, remember that whenever you see of, you can convert it to multiplication such that this implies 1/4 multiplied by x, and that is 1/4x. And 1/4x, of course, is x/4. Yeah. Then reading further, he spent another 1/3 at Mokola Market. Remember, this comma and the continuation of this amount that was spent is trying to tell us that this first amount and this second amount was spent at the same time. Hence, I will now say 1/3 of this same initial money he had, which implies 1/3 of is now our multiplication, then our x, and that is equal to 1/3 of x, and that is something as x/3. That sounds very simple. All right, let's read further. The question says, and that means this and means apart from these first two expenses that was spent together, there was another expenses that follows suit or after, and that expenses was 1/5 of the remainder. Let's first find the remainder of these first expenses. The remainder will now be adding these two first expenses together, and adding them together I have x/4 plus x/3. Then I will now subtract it from the initial amount, which is x. So automatically this is basically the remainder or the remaining part of the money after the first two expenses. So Ayo now spent 1/5 of this remainder at a motor park called Leventis Motors. So I will then say 1/5 of this remainder, and the remainder is x minus in bracket x/4, then plus x/3. So he spends 1/5 of this remainder, which I've put in place, at a place called Leventis Motors. So the next thing I will now do is to subtract these final expenses that Ayo had made from the first remainder based on the first initial expenses he made, which is x minus in bracket x/4 plus x/3. So that is basically what I did. What I did was to subtract the last expenses, which is 1/5 of this remainder, from the remaining part of the money based on the initial or first expenses he made. So subtracting this from this, the final part of the question now said if he had 300 left, that means after all these expenses, Ayo had 300 naira left. The question is very simple. We are now asked to find how much he had initially, and that is the x in quotes. Remember, we said that our x is the initial money. So this x is what we are asked to find, which is the initial money that Ayo had. All right, let's solve further to find our x. Here we have x minus, remember the common LCM of 4 and 3 is 12. Then 4 divide 12 is 3, and 3 multiplied by x is 3x. Then that is plus 3 divide 12 is 4, and 4 multiplied by x is 4x. Then minus, then we have here 1 over 5, all in brackets. We have x minus, remember that the common LCM of 4 and 3 is still 12, and 4 divide 12 is 3, and 3 multiplied by x is 3x, plus then 3 divide 12 is 4, 4 multiplied by x is 4x, and that is equal to, okay, we close the bracket, and that is equal to 300. That sounds very simple. Then we can solve further. We have x minus 3x plus 4x will give us 7x, and that is 7x all over 12. Then minus, then we have 1 over 5, 1 over 5, and that is all in brackets. We have x minus 3x plus 4x is 7x. So we have 7x all over 12. We close our brackets, and that is equal to 300. Okay, solving further, we then have that, remember x is the same thing as x over 1, such that LCM of the denominators here, 1 and 12, is still 12. And 1 divide 12 is 12, and 12 multiplied by x is 12x. And we have 12 divide 12 is 1, and 1 multiplied by 7x is 7x. Then minus, we have 1 over 5, all in brackets. Remember, x is something as x over 1. Then the LCM of 1 and 12 is still 12, and 1 divide 12 is still 12. 12 multiplied by x is 12x. Then minus 12 divide 12 is 1, and 1 multiplied by 7x, we automatically have 7x. And that is all equal to 300. Then let's solve further. Don't mind, my board could not accommodate again. Then 12x minus 7x will give us 5x. That is 5x over 12 minus 1 over 5, all in bracket. 12x minus 7x will still give us 5x, and that is all over 12, and all equal to 300. Then we have 5x all over 12 minus, remember this is multiplication because of this bracket here. 5 divided itself is 1, and 5 can divide 1 as well to be 1. 1 multiplied by x is x, and that is x over 12, and that is equal to 300. Then the common LCM of the denominators here is 12, and 12 divided 12 is 1, and 1 multiplied 5x is 5x. Then minus 12 divided 12 is 1, and 1 multiplied by x is x, and that is all equal to 300. Then solving further, 5x minus x will give us 4x, and that is 4x over 12, which is equal to 300. Then remember, 300 is something as 300 over 1, such that when we cross multiply, 4x multiplied by 1 will still give us 4x, and that is equal to 12 multiplied by 300 will now give us 3,600. And dividing both sides of the equation by 4, we have that x is equal to 3,600 divided by 4. And automatically x is equal to 3,600 divided by 4 will give us 900. But because we are talking about the amount in naira, so I will include naira for it. So remember, we are asked to find the amount that Ayo had initially. So the amount which he had initially, which we represented to the x, is automatically 900 naira. Remember, this is basically how to solve a word problem of this form, which involves fraction. Please do well to reshare this video because I believe it will go a long way to help someone there. And at the same time, remember to hit the notification bell and as well subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you and see you next time. Goodbye.